every athlete, every person, every human being has an opportunity. Some opportunities don't come when you want them. But if you're prepared, good opportunities can happen. Always be ready, because you never know when your number is gonna get called.
I'm not coming back.
Emiy Apparel. Encourage me. I'm young.
Calvin T. Mann, leading Emiy, served over 20,000 youth through speaking, coaching, and mentoring. He has inspired us for years. Welcome to Emiy TV Podcast with your host, Calvin T. Mann, the Encourager.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm coming live remote from New Mexico. No, I'm just kidding. Live remote from the home. And I'm excited about this conversation because, hold on one second. Because we're going to do a Podskirts rewind. Because the Podskirts was a dope event. The food was off the charts. The people was happy. The DJ was fired. And there were good people in the building. And so I wanted to make sure that, right, we had this opportunity to really get into this conversation about podcasts and where we're going to take Put Your Family First podcast. But shout out in the room is Miss Heather Heteru, Dr. Heather.
Thank you.
And Monique, how you ladies doing?
Great. Good, thank you.
Good. What's on your mind so far about this topic, and where y'all want to go?
Well, of course, I always like to start our show by framing the subject matter and the ideas that we're talking about and sharing some research and information around it. So first, I want to just kind of acknowledge that you can find a podcast on Facebook, but you can also go to the website. Podcastic Life, I believe, is the website. And it's bigger than that. It's Godcastic, Podcastic, Freakcastic, and I think there are a few others that I'm leaving off. But I wanted just to share the information that I pulled about it from podcasticlife.com. It talks about it having affordable rates, weekly schedules, video guests, call-in numbers, and up to 6 or more people on a podcast. So if you're looking to bring your message to the forefront, it's a great platform. And I'm going to share with you why it's such a great platform. And our podcasting family of podcasters and podcasts really deliver a variety of information and thoughts. And the people who are on the podcast are really thought leaders. People who are shaping the world with their ideas, experiences, and just the knowledge and the wisdom that they bring forward. And some of us are about solutions. Some of us are just about raising awareness. Some of it is just entertaining. And so whatever it is that you need from your podcast, this is a place that can give you the most variety. And so I want to talk a little bit about podcasts in general, and did you know? So in my research, I found that there are 4.18 million podcasts worldwide. So that's a lot of podcasts. And so it says also that the number of people who listen to podcasts is 504.9 million people. And that's just where it started in 2024. And then as far as the U.S. citizens, it's 62% of citizens have either have listened to a podcast, but 36.2 of the listeners listen through the Apple Podcast. 30% of the podcasts are 20 minutes or 20 to 40 minutes in length. And then here are a couple other things I wanted to just share with you that I thought were pretty interesting statistics.
So hold on one second, Heather. So right now, the podcast is not live on podcasting.
It's not live.
It's showing.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Here we
Yeah,
go. All right,
I
let's
was
go.
gonna say I see my link.
Okay, now that we have a space check, we know where we are. And it is anticipated that number of 5 million is going to grow before the end of 2024. It says the boom in podcast listeners is due to the fact that, unlike other media, podcasts tend to create a deeper bond with the listeners. And podcasts tend to have a niche audience. And for North America alone, we own 43.8% of the market in terms of the listeners worldwide. And we are growing. So it also talks about the industry in the U.S. is right now, it's valued at $2 billion, but it is projected that by the end of 2024, that we're looking at $30 billion industry. So where they were able to track it from 2, they're expecting a big increase by the end of the year to 30 billion from 2 billion. So that's a huge jump, and not just interest and listeners, but an opportunity for people to continue to express their thoughts, to express the solutions, raise awareness. It's a lot that goes into the podcast industry. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And, I thought this was a really good statistic too. Not just that most people have listened to a podcast. So 62% of U.S. citizens have at least listened to a podcast at least one time in their life. But the generation that is the most connected to podcasting is Generation Z. And it says that, in fact, Generation Z is leading the way in consuming podcast content with a rate that more than doubles any other age group. So that means they're listening, they're paying attention, and we're going to continue to grow. And here's another fun fact, and I'm gonna be done with my stats. That it said 32% of people listen to podcasts while they're driving, and I think that was pretty cool. And it said also that 79% of us listen on our cell phones. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting that while we, when you live podcasting life every day, you live the life that you know. But it's such a bigger picture. It's bigger in numbers. It's bigger in industry, what the industry is generating, what it's intending to generate, and who's listening to those podcasts. Who are our main consumers? And that is Generation Z. So I'm really excited to be a part of this culture, this community of podcasters and listeners. And I think what Podcastic does in terms of the Podskers every year is an amazing event, and it honors the work and the input of so many people and the teams that come together and the lives that come together and the interest that it brings and generates in bringing our culture closer together. So I'm proud to be a part of this unique family of individuals and this body of work that we're doing and elevating. So I'm good with the podcast rewind. Go ahead, Kelvin.
Well, thank you for all the information and statistics and those things about podcasts. I am excited to know that it is a $30 billion industry.
That's the
right?
projection
And
by the end of 2024.
right, which means for us, taking our podcast to another level is mandatory, right? As
For sure.
first of all, us the other day being in shock totally, which is what I wanted to
Totally.
talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Being in shock totally at the Oscars, which I think is a brilliant process that Miles Dixon has come up with to recognize the different people. And so more of the podcast people should be involved with this Oscars because um, he's not going to slow down, right? So,
You mean out of the
look, first,
millions of podcasts worldwide, globally?
well, it's yeah, it's no need, right? Because that's a market. It's a market, and it takes in a market, you know as well as I know, it only takes basically two people to see you to value what your content is, and it grows. The other part about the content is moving it further into the Instagram world and the TikTok world for your podcast, as well as Apple. So now that's a whole different level of work for us, which we really don't have time for, right? so we keep it to the vest with podcasting. But what's exciting is the new people, the new faces, the different
It
um,
is.
traffic, increasing the traffic around what we talk about, which is family restoration and how important the family, and telling people put your family first, and just learning that a lot of people we crucify family because we believe that the family is supposed to do business and carry our business, and that's not true. So I'm excited to really have this discussion and celebrate. So I'm out of the loop, which is weird. That the first award I had no clue, you know, and to be clear, even about the Oscars, I'm coming, but mentally, the stuff me and Miles was talking about, we was on a whole nother page, and so mentally wasn't there, and I'm so grateful you put it on the calendar, and that woke me up and reminded me where we were headed. But that first award was shocking.
Yes. Yeah, the nominations and those who we were standing side by side for those nominations was incredible. We just have some incredible talent. It's some incredible talent. Like I said, just thought leaders, people who are leading these conversations and leading us to a place. I like the fact that with podcasting that the conversations lead you somewhere, even if that somewhere is just deeper thought, even if that somewhere is to feel better when you leave the conversation. I think that's one of the things that podcasting offers and the other podcasts offer. So it's kind of hard to think of it as competition when so many people bring so much, to the forefront. So I didn't, and I think you may have mentioned this too, Calvin. It wasn't just our win. It's like our win in terms of Emiy and our team, our podcast team, but it's our win as a community, because that means that we're making impact. That means that people are listening. That means that we have some level of influence on what's being said and what's being heard in our community. So I think, kind of more than anything, as we continue to receive this amazing honor, our three-peat at the event, it just made it that much more special, because in each of those categories, we had that much more of a voice in our community to be able to speak out and speak up. And again, highlight the thought leaders that have been moving, these conversations. in the audiences that resonate with them. Like they talked about the niche market and the audiences that you resonate with. Like our one of our audiences is those who believe in family and family restoration, and how important it is to keep having the conversation and bringing the lifting and raising the awareness of what we're talking about when we mean the restoration of family, what that means in the lives of boys, what that means in the lives of our elders, what that means in the lives of those who write about it, write their story, write their thoughts as authors, or stand up for the rights of others and the thoughts of others as advocates. So I think those three main topics that we talk about every month, I think those are important conversation pieces as it relates to the restoration of family. Even though Calvin can sometimes have colorful metaphors and uses colorful metaphors and I want to say on live TV, but I guess there's a lot of the guard is down in a lot of spaces, so some language and colorful ways of thinking are part of our acceptable culture now. You remember when bad language was banned? They bleep you out, or they shut your program down. Yeah, them days is gone.
Yeah.
Did you say dim?
Dim, DEM, dim days. DAZ. DAYZ.
Right. Shout out to Mizon Smith. Right. Him. So right away, when he wins, it's him and his son.
Oh, mission.
So,
It's mission.
Mission. Yeah. Like that's right when I saw that, I knew the night was going to be different. I had no idea it was going to be different for us. But when you see a father, as we talk about this all the time, with his son.
2 sons, yep.
2 sons, but he right there, him and his son with the show, right? And I'm going off the other night.
Right.
And the young man having his script in his hand, prepared to say, these are the things that we do with our boys at Emiy. And so when you see that, right, you see that there are people who understand the value of fatherhood. And it's paramount to the culture that we really start seeing things in an order form to recreate the level of success for our children. So that was one of the dopest things I saw that night. What was the thing that really made your day that night?
Monique, how about you? You start.
Well, I did like to see because a lot of the new podcasters won, and I like a lot of the men. Men's podcasts won, and like Miles was saying, it's hard for men to get on camera and express their feelings and everything. So that was dope. And of course, my husband's winning.
Of course. and just even the fact that you as a family, Monique, your family being there and being involved, and your husband bringing your daughter up, like this is my family. This is about family. And of course, with our podcast, that's what it means for us. It's about how you use the family as the resource, and as Calvin mentioned before, not an over resource. That we don't, we go to our families for the resources all the time, but lifting them up as a resource, I think, is really important, because I know when the voting opened, I did share the information with my family, like, okay, we're up for a nomination, if you have some time, but they don't give you any feedback. You just put it out there because it's in a text thread. Both sides of our family in a text thread. So I was like, make sure you guys vote. But I didn't go back to it after I sent a text message. That's pretty much it.
Yes.
But that the support was there for so many of the podcasts for those nominations, and then for just the voting.
Yes.
And just so completely honored, and again taken aback that we were that we were bestowed that honor three times,
Yes, and
a
well
three-peat.
deserved, well deserved.
Well, thank you.
And that was a highlight for me too. So.
Yes. So you got the win in family, you got the win in team, you were winning all over the place.
Yes,
and nominations.
So I said I didn't win my individual category, but I still feel like a winner.
Oh yes, that was a beautiful post too. I responded to that one. I did respond to that one. Some of the other. Okay, so let me share what I liked about the process too. One of the things that I love is about when you have an opportunity to dress up and show out.
Oh, yeah.
It was so many styles, and you get to see people at their best. And I know when you think about the Emmys and the Grammys and all of those types of events, you see people walking up the red carpet and how stunning, and they talk about the designers that that had dressed them for that particular event and things like that. Yeah, it was.
Nobody was sharper than Todd.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that green.
Was sharper than
and his wife.
Yes.
And his wife. I did post on them too because because one of the things that I really loved about how they showed up, you could see the energy between the two of them.
Oh yeah.
You could see that we're in partnership in this journey, and it was just beautiful to see. It really was. And then Coach Mission's team came in their red and black.
Mm-hmm.
They came in strong in their red and black. Their whole team and family came in.
Yes.
So I think and just the podcasting team was OMG. Fine women, fine men, fine. It's nice to see people dress up and be in formal attire. We're used to seeing blue jeans and gym shoes, but we clean up pretty good, I think. We clean up pretty good for a formal event. And that they bought your team, I'm saying podcasting team in general, brought so much class to the event. I mean, now we still had a lot of colorful metaphors being poured across the microphone, across the room, colorful personalities, saying some stuff that was not rated PG-13. It was rated R.
It was live, right? And so
it was definitely that. No
right?
PG-13.
But the joke of the night when old girl came to the mic and said Miles was doing his civil rights suit.
Oh my God!
Hey, listen. I know he gonna get her back, but hey, that was absolutely hilarious.
Oh, man.
That was hilarious. She came straight to the mic and busted. That was just absolutely hilarious, right? And so that's the family atmosphere we have, though.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we have that atmosphere, Girth winning, and then how dope was it for Mason?
Mm-hmm.
Mason to give out the first ever award, and Girth got that award, and Mason, not Girth, but Dice now.
Mm-hmm. What up, though?
And was recognized by Mason for their award.
So explain that. I didn't get that significance.
So Miles and Mason go way back.
Okay.
That's a story. That's their relationship go way back. And so Mason sat in and had no clue whatsoever, right, and how nice this was. You know what I mean? Because you could tell by his face, he kept looking around the room trying to figure out. Now he looking down and just taking it in. But when he came up and gave that award, the first ever award to Dice and his crew and those guys, and the brother from New York got on the microphone.
Oh yeah.
Right? And just the different relationships that was in the room says that this award brings multiple. It falls in line with what we talk about. This award has brought a family atmosphere, which is what podcasting really has become.
So it was something about the show What Up Though, and something, is that something that Mason says that I'm missing? Was that the connection
No,
with the What
I
Up
don't.
Though?
Right. What up, though, is their show, right?
I mean, I got
So,
that. I got
right.
that.
And so, I forget the award was what was it around, but I think it was the first ever. I think it was named after
new,
Mason.
yeah, best new podcast.
Best new
Best New
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is it something that Mason says, What Up Though? Is that something he says on
No,
his
he
show?
says Detroit basketball. Detroit basketball.
That's how he
That's
opens his
Mason.
show?
What you mean? You not in the sports, so you wouldn't know. But that's
I
Piston
just said I didn't
basketball.
know. I know. That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
Right.
Well, okay, so,
Right.
okay.
Right, and then he got his
My
his
question
show
still
on
wasn't answered. I guess that's a
107.5.
Miles question. He'll have to answer that question.
Right.
Yeah, but I was really happy because actually we sat next to each other the whole evening. We were chatting back and forth, just having a conversation. He was talking about. I'm talking about Mason now. He
Check
was
the
speaking.
phone. Check the phone, Monique.
He was talking about how, how nice everybody looked, how the event was so elegant, and how, the awards and the process of how things were done was so well put together. Fun, funny. It wasn't stuffy or anything like that. So it was just an opportunity for people to be highlighted and acknowledged in ways that we typically don't get to be acknowledged. So he was just mentioning those kind of things, and we were kind of having some chats back and forth around that. But yeah, it was. Yeah, he was very impressed. He was very impressed, and he was extremely happy to be there and to witness it. So yeah.
And then
All the
Charlie
talent.
Langton.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Now when he yelled "What up, though," that was a priceless moment.
What up, dude?
That was a priceless moment. He looked right at home too, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Well,
He looked right at
yeah.
home, comfortable in the group.
Yeah, because he's comfortable with who he is, right? And that's where a lot of people fail at, like just when he did the 100 suits, he was comfortable there with his purple and gold shoes, right? And so him getting dressed is part of that's his thing.
And it was
Right.
nice to hear Dr. Sabrina and his story, how they,
Yeah.
how they go back and how they're interconnected, and the doors that were actually open for one another through their relationship.
Through their relationship, yeah. And that's another key point to having quality relationships, right? Knowing that there's no parameters, there's no gatekeeping. Like here, I think you should do this, and having the will to make sure that you're able to do those things.
Open
that's-
doors
yeah,
of opportunity.
That's where when we get there, right? When we literally get to the point to where information is shared and you prepared to take the information, the floodgates
So
of success for the children and the community is going to be there. And in the just so y'all know, it was an amazing environment. Missionstead. He's on.
Oh,
he's
is
in the
he?
Talk, yeah. And
thanks, Coach Mission.
and Talk with Todd threw up the 3 cups.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think it when you talk about opening doors and opportunities, we saw so many great examples of that. Even when you're talking about the brother from New York, when he said that they invited him in, it was another brother that said that this was his dream. This is what he wanted to do, and he had an opportunity to fulfill his dream. And so all of that is really about how we continue to do what we do, but remembering that We do have the power right now, well, where we are, to make a difference, to make an impact, and to open doors right where we are. You don't have to get to another destination to be able to do it. What do you do now in your everyday life? What do you do now to make impact? And so what was lifted up is that podcasters, this is what we do to make impact. But there are so many other ways to encourage other people to do the same. And so, I think that's another way that we can show impact. And the impact that I'm talking about more social impact. I'm talking about helping people expand their ideas, change their opinions and their mindset. And I know next week we have a pretty deep conversation. I was cautioning Calvin about, jumping too far into politics, especially in the season that we're in. And because I don't want to take the focus off of that with Emiy, we're talking about put your family first, but we also mean that and need to know how family is impacted by policies and what things are coming, what the potential of the time that we're in and the things that we do and the choices that we make, even in terms of voting, is important. So I just want to just put this out there. If you are not registered to vote, get registered to vote. It's easy to do. You can go to the city clerk's office, and now they make it a mandatory a question if you're renewing your driver's license or anything like that. Your plates and your tags, they make that mandatory. It's a mandatory question that you have to answer. So that's how important it is to vote. That prompt is in all these different places. So make sure when you have children that are reaching that age, 17.5, you start getting them prepared to make that vote.
They're saying the call-in number isn't working.
Yeah, Mission just wrote me, so I'm trying to see. I'm gonna try with my phone.
Okay.
But
oh, okay. I don't know what's
right.
going on.
So, but to see it from a perspective of where the next level for these conversations is bringing the people into the podcast that has a certain level to discuss family, right? And why our podcast is so important to make sure that we're having the discussion going forward. The voting piece is to prepare the families.
Right.
Prepare the families, right?
For next
Here are some
level.
things you need to look out for in your voting, and understand if you have questions, right? Our guest will be Bert Johnson, and so you want to call in.
Ooh, you gave a preview. You got a sneak preview on who's coming.
Right, and because the conversation has to be had. We are also looking for another venue for those of you out there, and looking. We're out there for a venue, right, to make sure we can have another possible town hall and discuss these things. It's just important going forward. The other piece that you was talking about voting, Heather, is people have to check to make sure they're registered, because there was some criminality of removing people. Like in Georgia, they removed like 19 million. They scrubbed 19 million people, right? And to pull off so many people off the voting database. So that was a huge thing in Georgia. So having him come on, but back to the Oscars, I'm saying that the second award, and understanding, when I was talking about Dice, I was sharing when Miles introduced myself in Dice, immediately Dice without hesitation bought a Win As One Detroit hoodie. Right? Now I ain't seen him in it. But I have, the brother did support. And we turned around and supported his seniors event with our boys.
The community service project. Right,
yes.
Right.
Which was their project for community service. But all in all, like Detroit City Deals and all the people she's reached with businesses and the things that she has done.
And Lene
Uh,
too, and Mind My Business.
yeah, right. Mind my business. Yeah, minding my business. With her belief system, right? Ain't that what it's about? Her
Right.
loving the Lord.
I was gonna tell you, if they want to call in, they can call my phone. I'll just put it on the mic.
Oh, okay.
My phone number is 313-443-6056. Because this phone isn't working right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Can you
What
put it
we're
up on the
not gonna do
screen
is
too?
that. Yeah, we're not gonna do that, Monique. We'll be all right.
Oh, you sure? Oh, okay. I was
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, because I don't
yeah. We
mind.
don't.
You know.
People be caught. You and your husband be watching a movie about 10:30, and the phone ring, and they be like, "I'm calling in, Miss Monique."
Okay.
They said I could call in.
Calvin would be thinking like that,
Oh
wouldn't
my
he?
gosh.
Right. And then when Muscle Game, I got to get with him after we did the interview,
Oh, that was funny.
right? And then at the end, he getting his second award and being a part of another award. Like just the difference in the people, right, and how they approach. So many people have successful podcasts, right? It's the engagement part that we're trying to increase. It's important, right? Because we need um, 2,000 people watching this show. We need 5,000 people watching the show, right? Because then the message is multiplying, and that's the key significance of building this podcast around
The
family.
network.
The
The
network,
network too.
the network for sure. The podcast, uh, getting to a place like you were talking about, where it's an increased professionalism, and now, right, what's the next phase for it, right? And so for us, right, being
Oh man.
right
Wow.
said a lot about people is watching when we don't think they're watching, and that was significant in our voting and understanding, because we bring a lot of solutions to the people. We don't just come on here and we get to talking about sex and all that. We come on and we drop valid information, solutions, how
Credible
to take
source.
care of
Credible
credible
source.
sources, how to
Right.
take care of yours, each other, love, seniors, literacy. Like we come on and bang with information, not so much geared toward uh, the other stuff, but going forward, that's here. Just like the summit, the collective summit that's coming in October, the women's summit,
Right.
right? They're gonna have to figure out how they can stream that, because that summit gonna be fire.
Yeah. Yeah. For
That summit
sure.
is gonna be fire, right? And
Yes. Yes.
and how we do that, and pull that off, because that summit is gonna be fire. It's gonna be
Yes,
fire.
it's exciting. And thank you for mentioning that, so I can direct people to yourinspiredjourney.com, which is my website. And if you look under events, you find our monthly seminars, and you also find the summit coming up in October. So you get your tickets. The tickets for the Women's Summit it's right now, it's at early registration at $49. Regular price, which kicks up after September the 22nd, Regular price is $67 for that ticket. So you might want to take advantage of the early bird registration at $49 up until September 22nd.
And let's not forget, right now, as we speak, is the Amazing Black Women's event all week.
All right. And so today, actually, at 7 o'clock, is Flawless, which is the financial, it's an acronym for women in their financial freedom. So you can go to Amazing Women Network and go to that website, and you can look up the events that are going on up until this the end of this week. So tomorrow they're doing a business plan, and that's at QT. That's hosted by QT Enterprises, but that event is at Northwest Activity Center. You still have to register to get there, so you can go to that website and do that. There are lots of things happening right now in the world of women. There are all of these amazing things because we need to be the women, the mothers, the wives, the grandmothers that this season is calling us to be. And so I love that our show is about the restoration of family, but it also is the restoration of women, the restoration of men, the restoration of marriage, the restoration of that covenant, and who and what is covered under that covenant. So it's just the season for us to do some more deep healing, and I call it deep wound healing, because there are some things that we definitely have to heal that sometimes it's not our stuff. It was planted in us through our DNA. And I love the fact that on our show we talk about and keep lifting that back up so people understand that it's just not what's happening to you now. Some things, some behaviors, some habits, some thoughts and your values are implanted in your DNA. Whether you knew your parents or not, it's still a part of who you are. You're still a part of them. And in this season, we're making our own way to evolve beyond just our DNA. This is a time of evolution. And so it's a time also for our families to have that experience. I want to really just kind of lift that up as we're having this conversation. Just like it's the evolution of the podcast season. With the more than 5 million, podcasts coming up by the end of this year, that increase in the industry by, another 28 million. So $1 billion in the industry. So there's expansion and growth everywhere. We have to make sure that our family life is also growing and expanding and healing in the process. So it's going to take some, definitely it's going to take some work and effort to keep healing those deep wounds, especially those who have been divorced or, going through issues with the children. So we got to keep pulling that and healing that space.
So Ballin' with Rich, he won the podcast of the year, right?
The host. Mm-hmm.
The host of the year.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Rich was in the chat. He said, "Congratulations, Calvin and Heather, along with wifey."
Thank you,
Monique. Right. But yeah, that right. So that means Rich be going in on his show.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
because the host.
He has to invite us on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because you're talking host
with the most.
Yeah. Mission, right. Mission said he'll share all the info. So again, to understand how the Oscars, for people that don't know, I thought it was real nice what Sabrina has said about Miles and their relationship. Right. Yeah. So you don't know, Monique, the day we got our doctorates, right? Some of my old classmates and I met at Como's in Ferndale. Mm-hmm. And we sent out to, different people and friends, right? That's where we would be celebrating. Mm-hmm. And in the door, Delano, Miles, and Sabrina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was nice. It was nice. And yeah, it was nice that they showed up. The podcast family.
And they showed up, and we laughed, Miles pretended to be James Evans. Right. Yeah, Miles came in there on this James Evans. That's what he used to call me. Here come James Evans. Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, but that is a testament to that level of family that you start to build when you become a member of Podcastic. Yeah,
absolutely. It has been that since the beginning for me, for sure. Yes.
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
his intent. His intent. What I like about Miles, his intent is to connect people.
Right.
Right.
He says that all the
Although,
time. Yeah.
right. Although he, again, he's different. He's a little weird. Right. Right.
Yes, but we've even like even at our show we've connected like guests and
Right.
everything. They never didn't haven't known each other, and then they hook up and do things together. So
Yes.
that's the great thing too.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It is to see people grow and expand. Yeah, and still be rooted in the pot. I'm gonna have to break that down. I'm gonna have to break podcasting down on one of these episodes. We're gonna have to break it down so I can give some spiritual insight to the name. I like to look in the deeper spaces. So
Well, hopefully they are praying. Hopefully they understand the opportunity is in front of them to improve the the product that they have, right? Because that's the goal, is for us to improve, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
we're to
Not
improve
just
the
the
product
product.
because right, the messaging, so more people again can benefit from the message, because there's so much negativity. Like somebody asked me, uh, this was hilarious. Somebody asked me, like, had I ever seen? I can't think of the show, right? But it was based out of Baltimore.
Oh, The
And
Wire.
right. Somebody said, "Cal, you remind me of somebody on The Wire." I said, "Who?" Right? I was like, I was like, "You won't believe this." So I'm gonna just make it clear to you. I watched maybe a half a show, and I was because I was over one of my friend's house. He invited us over for a birthday party, and they was watching The Wire. And I watched maybe 10 minutes before I said, "I'm good." It was like, "Really? You didn't like The Wire?" I don't like things that paint us in a negative way, right? We got enough imagery that it's almost embedded in the movies that the bad guy is always this guy, right? And so even in the movies and the things, like, we depict so much negativity, and then in the movies, really, you can only get one hero, right? It's one guy at the end of the action film. He done killed 100 people, and he gets to ride off into the sunset, and they like, that's the movie, right? But they give you all these scenarios, and I'm saying we're painting the picture and conditioning men and believe. And so I don't like that, right? I like, although I do take in action flicks, the ending, they just never get it right. At some point, the dude that killed all the people gotta die. You know what I mean? Like, how is it that he gets to drive off into the sunset? It just blows my mind. So, it's not reality; it's a movie, and I get that, but it conditions people just like music. So I don't like those types of things. I really like wholesome, chitty chitty bang bang, Wizard of Oz type movies. I like those type things, right? Because almost all of those movies incorporate family. It's always about family. So that's my little 2 cents with that. But
I do want to bring up a few things of the categories that were brought up for nominees. Actors, actresses, directors, producers.
Yeah.
That piece I thought was really, really powerful to be able to acknowledge the talent on all levels. And I was asking Miles for a list of the movies because Calvin always says I like B movies, but
Oh yeah.
he doesn't like me to pick out movies.
He the
but
B movie queen.
I am going to buy and I am going to support black film and black filmmakers. I don't care if they A, B, C, D, E, or F, because if we're not supporting them, then who? So
you won't be watching Tubi long. I already know that.
Well, I don't have cable, so I don't prescribe to those things. But if I have an opportunity to buy, I will buy them. Every opportunity I get, I buy them.
There are not many.
I don't do bootleg
novels.
copies. And I don't do bootleg copies. I pay full price for the movie. How about that?
There are not many romantic novels, right? And then what's the young lady
I do like romantic
that Miles
comedies.
was real close to that he did the award?
Oh yes, Melissa, wasn't it? Yeah,
Melissa
Talbert.
Right, that was huge for him. That's really He
that
talks
was
about
such
how
a blessing.
she really has had an impact in his life.
And he mentioned the lives of others too.
Yeah.
So
And
that was a great honor. I hope her family and her friends and those who know her were as moved as he was when he honored others with that.
Well, I told you about the situation with Z.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that, you the one keeping her alive. A lot of people might not buy into the person was all of that, right? So that's why
you just need one pancake her. But when you have one flame, you can still see that flame from a mile away.
Oh, so we keep Z.
Yeah, absolutely. We keep the flame alive, and I'm so glad that he's keeping that flame alive to let others and keep her memory alive and how she's impacted others, yes. But that's her legacy. Yeah. Miles is a piece of her legacy. And so what he did was he memorialized that legacy so it will be able to be carried on for as long as there's a podcast, a Podskers. Yes, that was amazing. Thank you for bringing that and lifting that up.
Yeah, no question. And then like Tanja. So, I've known Tanja for a second, the shoe lady. Right? And so I decided, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And I go watch the trailer of her movie. And I'm going, now I want to close my eyes because the trailer. Tanja don't be playing with her movies, right? So,
is this the one that we're talking that Dr. Sabrina was talking about?
Oh, the man was.
The opening scene. Yes,
she's right. We watched it when we got.
Oh, did you? Was it good?
Yeah.
It was definitely a good opening, but beyond the opening scene. Okay. Because I know two things about. I learned about three things I learned about Monique: her movies, her music, and her games. So I know those three things about her. So she's gonna have a good time.
That was so. It was dope. Right, and so
we need a list of the movies. Miles said he would give me a list of the movies. Yeah,
it's a long list.
I'm sure, but we need to have that list so that people can go through.
70% of them is about pretend gangsters.
Speaking of movies and a list.
70% of
a movie and the list. I'm glad Darren came. I'm glad Darren Brown showed up too. I was looking for.
I went over Tone House, and then I went over Tone House, right? Tone was like, "Man, you check this movie out." He was on Tubi, right? Right. So I said, "Man, you watching Tubi too, dog?" He was like, "Man, you really gonna like this." And as soon as he cut it on, dude gets shot. I said, "Dog, welcome to ABC News. It's 6:00. I can see the same thing. Give me something with some substance." You know what I mean? He started laughing, right? But I was shocked to know that Tone was watching Tubi movies, right? So a lot of people watch those movies, and I know it's important to a lot of people. I just, in the the place where I want to see movie. I want to see an impact, a true story, a documentary, or something. Those are the things that I like.
Documentaries too.
Mm-hmm. And you like a lot of action too in your films.
I do. I like a lot
I
of
like
action.
my priority films are romantic comedies. Then I like sci-fi and I like documentaries. Kind of all those three things. And when they all three collide together, that's even better.
Right.
I do like historic movies about our culture that is not necessarily reduced to slavery and violence. So when we start talking about contributions and things like that, even though I know in our culture, because we're such thrivers and we are transformers and we're creative, so we're going to turn those situations into something that's good for the world anyway. That's just
We
the
create,
nature of
we
our culture.
create, we create for the world. And with that being said, tell everybody where they can get you at, Helen.
You can find me at yourinspiredjourney.com. That's yourinspiredjourney.com. And you can reach out to me by phone. And please don't DM me on social media. Reach out to me directly at 313-759-7855. I'd rather talk to you and not get caught up in the DMs on social
In the
media.
DM. You can reach me at calvintman.com. It's T Man, Calvin T Man, right? Today we took the journey back because it was important for us to share the work and being appreciated.
Yes.
Shout out to Miles for this brilliant concept. As we are always talking, if anybody know, if you lock the door on me and Miles, it's going to be something. It's going to be birthed out of that space. We're always talking and about creating and moving and growing and sharing information. Today's book that I'm sharing to close out this episode, because remember, we're doing the Reading is Life campaign, and we're asking all other podcasts to offer a book at the end of their podcast to help increase the literacy of those who are watching and participating in our culture. And so today's book, excuse me, because I'm taking a deep dive into the various books, I have been looking for uh, a book. So it's the one is the CEO the CEO Return. Is a gray black book. It's a great story about a man who redeemed himself, became a pastor, and became a businessman at the same time. Right? That's a great book for us to get. Sean Dove turned me on to that book a couple of years ago, and it's a powerful book. Um, with that being said, remember the most important thing builds everything, and that's family. My name is Calvin Mann. God bless you and encourage me. I'm young. Peace.